Good night. John, I go back again. Can't get rid of me. So I was looking at a program this evening. Mother Angelica. She's on usually. She's on a Sunday from 7 to 8 and a Wednesday from 8 to 9. And generally speaking, she's very good. When, she's gone to her maker and I say she's up in heaven. And she was great. But she was speaking about modesty tonight. But she said one item in the course of it that she covered a lot of ground. And she said, because there was once talking about modesty in churches. But she spoke about it, but ones rang, people rang, women mostly. And they noticed that was happening in the churches and they rang priests. And the priest said it was better for them to come even if they were improperly dressed than not come at all. But according to Mother, that was wrong. That people don't know. One lady rang and said that she spoke to one that wasn't aware that she was dressed modestly, and you don't obviously be sort of, but you tell them and tell them in a nice, gentle way. That it would be better if they dressed in a certain way. So she was on that most of the time. But then she said something that rang a bell, and she says, talking about get back to devotions we used to have, she says, and which were great. And that rang a bell with me because the devotions we had when I was young, and all I know is the churches was packed up into my near enough late 20s. They were packed where I lived in Boyle. There was 3 masses on a Sunday, 8:30, 10 and 11:30. And confessions was packed on a Saturday night and Saturday afternoon. There was a parish priest, and I think there was either 2 or 3 curates. And they'd be all on duty on a Saturday night. And there'd be queues. I'd say there would be a couple of hundreds going to it. And I went to it then when I was kind of older, in my teenage years, I think. Before that, it would have been going to. It would have been different. You'd be going in the afternoon, but when you reach your teenage years, you have made your confirmation, which I made at 12, and my brother made it at 11, and my sister made it at 10. Or little, so they got their confirmation, whereas I was the oldest. And instead of having a day to yourself, 2 of them coming along. And my young brother, Lord of mercy, he died young. He had heart trouble. Died at 13. He made his first Holy Communion, and I think I don't know whether he made his confirmation as well, special dispensation because of his condition. Yes, sir, yeah. So here we are togged out, but the father engaged a photographer, so we were all in it. And my father, and he was in his uniform, the guard, and my mother and her father, my grandfather. So it was nice. And my sister togged out in her little veil and all the rest of it. The girls was very well togged out. But we're all togged out, and we would have got our suits and clothes in Mullaney's drapery store in Boyle in the main street. And of course, it would have been on the, everything was on the Never Never because the pay was small for a Garda. Not like it is now, it was relatively small. Most I had was a bicycle. No cars there. So anyways, we're talking about. So the church were packed. And subsequently, I know now that in those years, as I say, it was the Latin Rite Mass. The priest got up in the pulpit and gave a speech. I don't remember microphones. And you sort of sat up in your seat. Usually be at 10 o'clock Mass. Um, I know the sergeant in the town lived in the same square as us. He went to 3 Masses, 8:30, 10 and 11:30. Yes, so really he did. He turned out to be very holy. He had a big family as well. They lived a couple of doors down, which we were great pals. Anyways, but the church was packed, and the ones I grew up with and all the rest of it were definitely practicing their Catholic faith, and there wasn't. So your companions were of that caliber, and so your faith was nourished. The foundation was there, even though as you go and you go up to Dublin and masses in Rathmines, the big church there, and in Rathgar and in Ternuor, they were always packed, and confessions as well. So 98.5% of Catholics practiced their Catholic faith. Now, when they started, as Mother Angelica said, bring back the devotions of the way they were. And I believe in that because when the church was packed like that and Mass was celebrating the Latin Rite, we had missals. Most of us had missals. You didn't have to be wealthy to have such a thing. We had it and we were able to follow it. And I was an altar boy as well, and I was able to do the Latin, the Confiteor, and the Credo, the I believe in God, and the Ave Maria, the Holy Mary, and all the rest of it. Was able to do all that and make sure that you rang the bell, because at the Eucharist, at the Holy Eucharist, when the priest did what Jesus said, take this, when he gave the apostles, he broke the bread and gave them, do this in memory of me, this is my body, do it. And then he, with the wine, he said, do this in memory of me. And it was the boy, this is my blood which will be shed for you. So that's where the Eucharist comes in. And when the priest was doing the bread, and this is bread, and you rang the bell three, if you were in charge of that, you rang it 3 times, and people did that. Like Mea Culpa, what's this? When the best my God, my God, they had a little prayer, and what was it? Lord, my God. Yeah, and you did that, and then the same with the wine. This is my body, this is the wine, this will be set for you and for many. So all that was said 3 times, and the people as well. And then there was hymns, and lovely hymns, a good choir, and the old church. That church was burned down in 1960. I was gone at that stage, but which is a sad thing, because a beautiful church, lovely stained glass windows, and they built a new church, and it's nothing like what it was. It's round, and you don't know where you are, and the stations across are modern, which doesn't really lift the spirit in my book. But the celebration of Mass is there, so we still go to Mass. But a lot of people now are not going, because when they changed all these things and took out the authorities, the bishops, and they no right to do it, because they were paid for by the people, a form of desecration, that I believe, and I kind of encourage that to be put back, and people receive Holy Communion at the altar, and they're doing it now in the church that I attend here in Oldcastle, which is great. and people are kneeling or standing, as the case might be, and you receive it on the tongue. I receive it on the tongue, and it's great to see it, and more people are coming back as far as we can see, because they can see that things are going the way they should be going. And one thing that the priests done in them times was the Feast of Tabernacle. And they weren't facing the congregation, but they're back to the tabernacle. That could be unthinkable. But all these things come into play, and I think it was a factor in people not going to Mass and their immortal souls in grave danger of eternal damnation, because it's an obligation to go to Mass every Sunday and go to confession once a month. But then a lot of priests don't have confession, only by request, and people don't like to go into a confession box. This priest that we have now, thanks be to God, in Oldcastle, he holds confessions in the confession box. That's the way it should be. And you're able to have your confession. Does it on the first Friday, and he probably maybe does it other times. But I don't know whether he does it every Friday at Mass, or he only go to the first Friday, which would be next Friday. So these are the things that that I remember, and I wasn't too keen myself when all these changes to come about. I think they went too far. They threw the baby with the bathwater, and you can't make too many changes. People, the reverence doesn't seem to be quite the same. Of course, we had plenty of vocations. That's why we had a lot of missioners. Plenty of vocations, and even some there was for the be in the parish. There was too many, so they were often sent to England, which was regarded as a mission territory, and did a good job there. I know several priests did that, and the great Bishop Casey was there in London and started Shelter. Great, he did great work over there. He suffered grievously, of course, subsequently, but he was a good priest, very good priest, and the rest was so. I did one about him there some time ago, and I got a lot of views apparently because people liked him. I liked him, I have to say, and I liked various other priests that come under attack. But and he was. It's just a fact that bring back what was, and I think that's so. Don't forget there was the Rosary and Benediction, and it was on once a week, and there was nice hymns, Latin Tantum Ergo and O Salutaris, and then another one. There was three. But then there was the priest with the host. It was a lovely ceremony, and then we had the men's and women's sodalities. Now, I don't know whether I think I would have went to them because when you were growing up, you went to them even though you weren't married. But they were a great strength for the families. It kind of put them on the right path because life can be tough in some cases with families, but that helped them and it strengthened families in many ways. And then churches had a mission every year and lasted for a week and maybe a fortnight. And the missioners, there was I don't know, I think they spoke to the men one night and the women the next. I just can't be 100% sure of that, but there was all these things happened. And there was plenty of vocations how the priests would go, and they made all these changes. The bishops, the shepherds, there's no way to do it. Gradually, there was less vocations. And now, where there was full complement, there's not enough now vocations even to do a small diocese, never mind for the country. And so it wasn't for people, priests from Africa, where our Irish priests and all went out there and sowed the faith. Now they're coming here and priests from India, and only for them would there be no masses in many churches. And bishops now are trying to encourage vocations, but they want to go back, as Mother Angelica said, go back to what was good. And I certainly support that and have always supported it. And supporting the Christian TV Ireland, when it gets going, will support that to put back the altar rails. They had no right to put them out because they were paid for by the people. Put them back and people receive Holy Communion kneeling at the altar or standing as the case might be. And attended by a priest with an altar boy or an altar person with a pattern under the chin. And I notice even in the local parish here, there isn't the altar service that was. And I don't know why that is. But I know in Castle Pollard, where I was at Mass, there was 3 altar boys. And there was one lad that suffered from some kind of a shakes as far as because he was some kind of malady, I think. But he was an altar boy. And God help him, whatever's wrong with him. But it was good to see it. And then we got Holy Communion kneeling at the altar, and there was something on the where you were kneeling that was like a cushion or something. Not a cushion, but something that at least you weren't on the hard, whatever it might be, the marble. That can be hard on the knees. So these are things that we had 98% Catholics practicing the Catholic faith. And now it's the reverse. There's in some churches, there's only about 10%, even less. In some churches, this is why in Dublin to have this 2 collections, one for the priest and then one for share for the help. These other ones that there's not enough going, and the churches and they're closing some churches, and not just in this country, in other countries, because the same thing happened. And I believe that the priest should face the tabernacle, even to be saying Mass in English or any other language, because that's where the body, blood, soul, and divinity of our Jesus is. And these are things that they did, and it didn't work. So, as Mother Angelica said, go back to the things that worked. And it was straightforward and plenty of occasions. Now there's very little. So I don't know why they don't go back to the drawing board. Wouldn't that make sense? I mean, surely they're not blind. What is wrong with them that they don't speak out? These are shepherds, and they're the cause of doing what they did with the altar rails and changing everything. You can't do things like that. No, sorry, you cannot. And face the tabernacle and bring back all this. So these are the things that we will be supporting, that I certainly support. And hopefully the Christian TV will do that if I've got to do with it. And I hope it happens before I meet my maker. I'm doing my best. And donations, of course, is what'll do it. And people are coming forward. And no matter how small, grateful. Yeah. I know in EWTN now, they're gone around the world. And we've some lovely programs from here. The priest says one, Father Byrne, and it's marvellous the way it talks. I think our ones here, and Francis Hogan up in Donegal is very good. And there's 1 or 2 more, Father McGuckian, he was doing one. And they're far better than nothing else that I see in other parts of EWTN. And we have stuff coming from Britain and EWTN, which I'm not too keen on them, to be honest with you. They don't seem to do things the way we do here, as far as I can see. There's more sincerity in the programs I see coming from here. Francis Hogan and Donegal is great, and so is Father McGuckian, and then there's Father Byrne, and there's other ones. So we'd love to see it. So we hope that these things will come to pass, and that wiser counsels will prevail with our shepherds. They'll go back to the drawing board and put back what we had. mad. I'd love to see the Latin Mass celebrated at least once a week in every parish in the country. That can't be too much, can it? I think it should be done. So these are all the things anyway. It was because Mother Angelica mentioned it, but I've often mentioned it before. And so it gives me hope. Yeah, because she was very good. She was one of the best. She was the founder of EWTN and Poor Clare Nun. And somebody asked her, they changed her habit to a real traditional habit. And she said it was somebody asked her on the television. She takes some phone calls, and this lady was away, and then when she come back, she saw it had different uniforms. She was in a different area, she couldn't get it, and she asked her, why did you do it? And Mother said it was to give honour and glory to God. That's what they're at, and that this was an example of this traditional habit, because they're Poor Clare nuns. And so that's the reason, and she had very good reasons for why they did it. And she's the one that mentioned about going back to what was worked years ago. Yeah, and with plenty of vocations. So I think that would be a good thing. Just have the Latin Mass once a week in every parish in the country, and see what happens. Bye now. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Let's just knit up the rapid period of care. That's what Shakespeare said. I love Shakespeare, and I love William Wordsworth. Church Towers and something. He was London. He wrote some lovely poems, descriptive, and he called it Recollection and Tranquility. And I think everything is recollection and tranquility, isn't it? You go through something very good, especially we're abroad and visiting some of the marvellous places that's in France, religious places. I think I saw some place in one place it was in where the Poor Clares or something was starting, donkeys years ago. And it had a lovely quality about it. And it was in cathedrals. I was in, what would they call it? Sacre Coeur. It was in the Notre Dame. That was with that fire. It'll be opened again soon. It was a terrible thing, that fire. They were doing electrical work on it, and I often think that there was something peculiar about it. Something not good. But it caused a lot of anguish in France because Notre Dame got 13 million visitors a year. I was in it. And I even got Mass in the Holy of Holies when I was going one time. And I said to the attendant that was there, what time is Mass at? Really get me a pass for 10 o'clock Mass the following morning, the Holy of Holies. There was only one other gentleman there besides myself, and he was older and looked like a diplomat or something. Well, I wasn't a diplomat, just a practicing Catholic. So it was a great honour. Okay, bye now. And various other churches I've built. And I built in Rome. I visited one where there was where our Lord, the pillar, where he was scourged at the pillar. That's there. So that. Bye now.